and in the midst of chaos, there is a light shining through, that God's on the throne, that everything is under control, that we are going to come out of this if we'll just trust in Him, and that people now, through us, can find the way to eternal and abundant life.
What's your take on COVID-19, and does it have any prophetic significance in terms of the times we are living in right now?
Well, certainly that we're living in the last days, but is this a direct plague? Is this the beginning of the outpouring of judgment? I'm not sure. I will say this. What I am sure about is that this is a wake-up call to America and to the world, that we need to really take seriously where our lives are headed. And I'm seeing, accompanying this, a new openness to consider what else is there to life. There must be something more. Wealthy people that felt very stable and secure no longer feel safe and secure. And that leads to the question, what else is there to consider? Why am I here? What's going to happen to me after I die? What does all this mean? And at the very least, this is certainly a wake-up call, and we need to get our house in order. We need to grow closer to the Lord, and we need to be prepared for things that may be, and I'm not saying this prophetically, but I think the scriptures are pretty clear, things that may be far worse than COVID-19. The good news, as Jonathan said, as the darkness gets darker, the light gets brighter, and we get to be part of that bright light shining. We're going to get brighter and brighter. So we've got to be about the Father's business, and quickly. Jesus said it. He said, night will come when no man can work. COVID may be the beginning of that warning.
We know that God will work all things together for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. We have this shaking going on in our nation right now, in the United States of America, obviously COVID, racial strife. How can we break through and be ambassadors for Christ and share that light? It seems tough. Maybe our voices, in some cases, we feel like our voice won't matter. It's getting drowned out. How can we break through and be ambassadors for Christ right now here in America?
Eric, I'm so glad you asked that question. I was hoping you would, because to be honest, when all of this broke out, COVID-19, and when it first broke out, and then around Passover to Pentecost, I was really fired up about people not being caught up in fear and depression, but really trusting the Lord, not spending as much time watching the news, but staying within the good news, getting the good news into our heart that God is watching over us. He won't let harm befall us. But then when the class wars broke out and the polarization, the deep political polarization, and watching cities being destroyed before my very eyes, I began to ask God, what do I have to say after George Floyd? Lord, what do I say? I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to be silent. And here's what I want to encourage people. We have the words of life. We do have the solution. You may be thinking, I have nothing to say in all this. I don't mean anything. I don't have a purpose, but you do, because you have the words of life, the words of eternal life, and now more than ever, people need the words of eternal life. Jesus is the answer. He is the way, the truth, and the life. And in the midst of chaos, there is a light shining through, that God's on the throne, that everything is under control, that we are going to come out of this if we'll just trust in Him, and that people now, through us, can find the way to eternal and abundant life. Let's never forget that. We have the answer in the midst of crisis. The answer.